20% down on a home mortgage is not the new standard. It's not the law of the land. It's now not as frowned upon because I know I was at the housing environment, okay, in Austin, I believe it was last year. And the Fannie Mae director, I believe Sandra, her name is, sorry if I get that wrong. She came up there and she said one of the things that really irritated her about our industry, about the image out there is that, oh my gosh, if somebody can't put 20% down, they should not be able to buy a house. Hey guys, let me just tell you something. The reason why she's so irritated is because the people that want to put 5 or 10 or 15% down or 3% or 0, she said they had good credit. They had good jobs. They had 401k, they had money in the bank, but they're like, I don't want to put all this money down. It's unnecessary. I can make the payment. I'm okay. They have dual income. So they weren't irresponsible buyers. They weren't irresponsible people or families. They just were like, why don't I just leverage it? If I'm going to pay this off over 30 years, what's the rush? I know Dave Ramsey wants people to pay cash for a house or put all this money down and do a 15-year. That's great. But that is not the standard. That is not the norm for everybody. So if you do not have 20% down to put down on a house, that is okay. If you're in the military, you can put 0% down. If you want to go FHA, you can put 3.5% down. Conventional, 3 to 5% down, and then it goes from there. So putting 20% down, number one, is not necessary. Number two, mortgage insurance. If you have like a 760 credit score, 780, the mortgage insurance literally could be $60, $70, $80. It's a joke now. It's like, why would you put down the money? So if you put down 5 or 10% and you can afford the payment in the mortgage insurance, what does it matter? Sure, what if the market goes down and then you're upside down? I get it. That is a risk that those people have to take. But most people right now would rather save that money and put it to work. Buy another investment property, put it back into the property. Put it for a 401k, save it for the kids' college plan, or invest it in the stock market or other things, maybe into their business. So 20% down, don't beat yourself up, don't feel bad. It's not the new norm. And in fact, if you want to know across the entire nation, what is the average person? What do you think the average down payment is across the entire nation? Well, according to this CNBC article here, the median down payment on a home purchase was $26,000 in the first quarter of 2024, an average of 13.6. And let me stop you there, guys. Yes, if you're here in San Diego like I am, you're like $26,000. Look, wait a minute. What are they talking about? I get it, because the average house here is higher. We're talking about the nation, folks, the entire nation. That is what it was. The article goes on to say the down payment was 13.6 the first quarter 2024. In your report, according to Realtor.com, the median down payment was $26,000. Both figures are up year over year, but from the peaks in the third quarter 2023. At that point, buyers put the average of 14.7, a median of $30,400 down. Having enough savings for a down payment is a big hurdle for most buyers. Close to 40% of Americans who don't own a house point to a lack of savings for a down payment as a reason, according to CNBC Your Money survey conducted by SurveyMonkey.com. More than 4,300 adults in the US were surveyed in late August. Yes, guys, so let's go over. If you're a first-time homeowner, what are the biggest pain points? Number one, the cost of the down payment. Number two, moving expenses, right? Can I qualify, all that stuff? But the biggest thing is most of these people had a down payment, they would just go buy a house. Why? Because not everybody wants to rent. Rents keep going up because we don't have enough of it. Also, your landlord might kick you out. They might want to sell the house. They might want to move into the house. They might want to kick you out and remodel it. Like, they have the right to do that. Also, most people that start a family in this, they want a house. They want the pool. They want the yard. They want to color the house the way they want. They want to put up their wallpaper. They want to make it their space. The biggest issue is down payment. And here in San Diego, I don't know what the average down payment is, but there are so many people here that get help from their family, from the relatives and things like that for the down payment. Whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50% down, it doesn't matter. Depending on where you come from, depending on how much money your parents have, having a down payment and a gift from family is such a good way to go. Because look, if your family has the money and you're renting, why not help your son, daughter out, family out, your grandkid out? Why not help them out if you can? So, hey, if you don't have 20% down, don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up, because you know what? The average person, they don't even want to put 20% down. And look, if some real estate investor or anybody like that's giving you a hard time, guess what? The flippers I know here and the real estate investors I know, they want to maximize the leverage, right? They want to make sure they can put the least amount of money in a deal and get the most out. That is a real estate investor. They're not trying to put down all this money. Sure, there are people like that, but the average real estate investor has to work with a finite amount of money too. So they have to leverage. So if you have flippers, they're putting down 10% down and getting, all the rest with rehab and everything, because they know the business model. They know they have the upside in the property. So don't feel bad because how people build portfolios or they flip all these properties or have these investments going, most of them out of their pocket, they have a very small minimum amount down. So that's how they're building their real estate portfolio. That's how they build their business. They use smart leverage. So if you're buying a home and you can put 5, 10, 15% down, the MI is minimal, you can make the payment. Why not do it and feel comfortable and confident about it? So I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyways, welcome back. It is another week. This week, there's lots to talk about. There's a lot going on this week, my friends. A lot. A lot of data, a lot of Fed officials talking, inflation. Yeah, more inflation, more jobs. It just doesn't friggin' stop. But we're going to get into that in a little bit later. But for you, watching this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you watching. If you're like, who's this guy, Kenny Simpson? Why should I continue to watch this video? You've already made it this far. You might as well stay to the end because it's only going to get better, right? Just kidding. But anyways, my name's Kenny Simpson. I'm a mortgage broker by choice. Been doing this 20 years, helped over 5,000 clients, funded $1 billion of loans. If you want to learn more about me, go on my website, go look me up. You can read more about my bio, all the stuff we've done in real estate. So maybe then you'll come back here and be like, okay, I want to watch this guy. Obviously, I create a lot of content. That's why you're watching this. Whether you see me on email, social, YouTube, podcast, I'm your guy. I love the data, love to teach about it, love to swallow it, digest it, and give it back to you because I want to know what's going on for me, what's going on for my clients, and also try to make some rationale, some reason to all this crazy madness we live in this world. But if you've been here 50 times and watched these videos, thanks so much for continuing to watch and support. And you know what? If you watch all the time, then you know what's next. Because what is next? Mortgage rates. What is going on with good old mortgage rates? Mortgage rates are kind of like a roller coaster, but we did get some good data. We got a little bit of relief on the mortgage rates. 10-year treasury. Look, while I'm sitting here, I'll just look it up right now. I'm just going to go right here and see what we got. We're at 4.447. That's what I got for your 10-year treasury. I got to go back to over here because I'm going to need to get to this stuff in a minute. So 4.447 under 4.5, there's some improvement. But don't you feel like rates should be worse? Oh yeah, they should be. But in the rate world, let me give you the good news, because that was the bad news. The 10-year has not come down. Rates didn't really get much better. But what if I told you from the peak, remember, 30-year fixed, 10-year treasury, that spread, peaked at 3.10. That was the difference in spread. Usually, remember, it's like 182. That has now come down to 260. So interest rates are a half a point better than they were this time last year because our spread has come down. So that, guys, we got to celebrate the wins, and we're going to celebrate that one because I'll take a half a point any day. Now for you guys, homeowners, imagine whatever you're getting quoted right now, that rate would be a half a point worse. So yes, you should feel better. If the spread keeps improving, the 10-year treasuries come down over time, could be on some good news. Could be looking good. It could be helpful. But until then, we're stuck. We're stuck at the higher rates. We're going to talk about why we're stuck. Real estate data is starting to show change depending on location. Florida, Texas, examples of inventory coming up, but in places like California, inventory just ain't moving. So depending on where you are in the country, you're going to start seeing different data more. Because I know before it was like we're almost the same, where it's like no inventory. Places are starting to creep up to have more inventory than other places. You're going to see that. Places like Austin or certain parts of Florida, you're seeing a lot more inventory. Maybe people that migrated in or migrating out, whatever the reason is, that's what we got. So first-time home buyers, super frustrated right now. They feel shut out, prices remain high, and buyers are over it for now. Rates need to come down to help the marketing, right? So first-time home buyers feel shut out. Prices remain high, rates remain high, affordability is tough, and they are really hoping for some relief. They need rates to come down to be able to get in there and buy a house. And remember, we talked about earlier in the segment, the biggest challenge for them is affordability, but on top of that is the down payment. Because if they had a lot of down payment, they could probably afford more. So it's being a first-time home buyer, let's be honest, guys, let's just say it. It really sucks. And you're trying to do your best. You're trying to make it happen. I get it. It's tough. So we need some rate relief. Is it going to come? Just don't know. I wish it would. There's lots of data out this week. PPI, core PPI, Fed's talk, core CPI, U.S. retail sales, manufacturing survey, home builder confidence, housing starts. A lot of data. It's probably going to be a mixed bag. So let's wait and see. Rates could be affected. A lot of rates are already built in. A lot of people aren't buying the data too if it comes in differently. So what are you going to do? It's super frustrating. And before I jump into some other articles, some fun stuff, some trending topics, or what's going on out there that we should know about, we should look into, I want to say this about interest rates. It's very clear now that higher for longer is there. But why? It's very clear that the Fed's not comfortable with inflation because it's mixed, but also they just want to see pain in the jobs. They want to see people lose jobs. They're going to need to see that. So until that happens, I don't think we're getting a rate cut unless some other thing blows up. We're going to have to continue to see that job market weaker and weaker and weaker, week over week, month over month. So that's what we're going to watch. That's what I'm going to focus on. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because as of right now, I'm not expecting a cut. Could we get one? Sure. But we need to see some pain.
Loan market. Our next guest pointing out a proposed mortgage reform that could inject nearly $2 trillion into the U.S. economy. And that reform is Freddie Mac filing with the Federal Housing Finance Agency to enter the secondary mortgage market. Joining us now is Meredith Whitney, founder and CEO of Meredith Whitney Advisory Group. Again, Meredith, nobody else is talking about this and could be a really big deal. Just explain what this is all about.
Okay, I think this is potentially a massive game changer. So on the heels of what Leslie said, the banks have really pulled out of the consumer lending market, but for credit cards. And so in terms of mortgages, 70% of mortgages originated outside the banking sphere. And in terms of home equity, they've gotten out of it. So it's been a runoff product. What this does is, so the private markets, hedge funds have bought second mortgages, have bought home equity mortgages. They bought, jumbo mortgages. It stayed a relatively small, expensive product. So quietly filed on April 16th was this proposal you mentioned, that would give Freddie the ability to enter into the second mortgage market. And they haven't been able to. This means that a liquidity will come into it. So how I get to the $1 trillion with Freddie is, Freddie will only underwrite second mortgages for the mortgages they already have first mortgages with. Their LTV, their average LTV, but this is unpaid principal balance, is 52%. That means they could extend $1 trillion of equity quickly, cheaply, and in a fast fashion into consumer wallets. So consumers have had golden handcuffed.
So basically what this lady is saying is Freddie Mac, if you have a Freddie Mac first, Fannie Mae, that means if you got a loan, it was sold to Fannie or Freddie, Freddie Mac's going to come out with a second mortgage. Their whole balance sheet that they have, all the mortgages, they're at a 56% LTV, which is really, really low. They're saying is you have that nice low 30-year fix at 2.5%, 2%, 3%, 4%. You don't want to touch it. They're going to they think they're going to end up doing $1 trillion of second mortgages. But what concerns me and this lady is that's $1 trillion, up to $2 trillion that's going to enter the market. That's like people are tapped out on the credit cards, they're going to pay it off. So we're just going to have more and more stimulus, more and more inflation. The train just doesn't stop, but I wanted to point that out for you guys. This is going to be an opportunity if you need to refi a second. This will be done by mortgage brokers, lenders, and stuff like that. But it's, I don't think that's good or bad or other. It is what it is. So let's jump in here and see what our pal Logan from Housing Wire has to say on his recent interview yesterday on CNBC. We're going to talk about inventory, things like that. Let's see what Logan has to say. All right. Also, so in a recent article by CNBC, this is pretty interesting. What's going on with home models, right? We had the pandemic. Home models were at all-time crazes, right? This article's talking about that's starting to come down. Obviously, look, you're going to remodel your house, your kitchen once. That was a craze. It's starting to come down. Let's take a look at the numbers and see how much worse it's getting. But also remember, as this declines, that means it's less spending, less jobs, all that. Because think about how many, contractors, all these people coming out fixing your homes, that's getting less and less. That means it's less money, less consumer spending, less jobs, all that stuff. So the leading indicator, remodeling activity peaked 17.3 in Q3 of 2023 and dropped to negative 1.2 in Q1 of 2024. Remodeler sentiment fell from 87 Q3 2021 to 66 in Q1 2024, but still remains positive. Homeowners spent more per project on fewer projects in 2023 with an average spend of $9,542 up from 12 months previous. The average homeowner has increased to 11.9 years in 2024 with an aging boomer driving this age in place. Old housing stock, the median age of homes is 41 years with 60% in the 1980s or earlier. That's interesting, right? So another article, which I wanted to point out is this is some way, let's say you have a kid, they're 17, 18, you want to start building credit. They want to start, being able to get that credit going. Why wait? How about they want to buy a house 22, 23? Maybe you want to help them buy a house. They go to college. You want to put them on there. What can you do? This article talks about children under 18 cannot apply for their own credit cards, but they typically can be added to the parents' accounts as authorized users and be issued a card. I was reading into this article more, some other stuff. Looks like if they're 13 or more, they can be added to the card. So, hey, if you trust the kid, limit that spend, put them on there. You're making the payment, start getting that credit card history. Adding your child as an authorized user on your card can be a smart way to set them up for financial success. While it may seem scary to give your kids that kind of power, it actually helps them learn to handle money responsibilities while you have an oversight and can see what they are doing. You can show them the bill, go through it, how much they spent. They're like, oh my gosh, wow, I charged that much. It's that quick, racks up that quick. Yeah, you don't get it. We get it. We pay for it. Use that knowledge. Avoid authorized user pitfalls by setting ground rules and paying close attention. So you can help them responsibly. Another strategy, get their credit card under their name and let them build credit history, but make sure you're monitoring it, you're paying it on time, and do not screw their credit. Let's help their credit here. Last but not least, last article I want to talk about was capital gains. You're selling your home, you want to know single 250,000, 500,000. Yes, there is talk, maybe legislation to change that to 500,000 single and $1 million. Let's be honest, you live here in California, especially San Diego. You bought anywhere near the beach, you paid $1 million 20 years ago. The house could be worth $5 million. You're going to get hosed, right? So they should come up. But what if you had to pay capital gains? What does that look like? What are the ways and tricks, hacks, tips to reduce it? So in this CNBC article, a lot of CNBC articles, they went through, let's go to some key points and let's go how to maybe bring that number down. So, right, if you're going to be over 500,000 or 250. So married couples, as we know, can shield up to $500,000 in home profits from capital gains, and single filers can exempt from 250,000. In 2023, nearly 8% of U.S. home sales yielded profits exceeding $500,000 compared to 3% in 2019. Isn't that amazing? 8% of all U.S. home sales. That's a lot, according to a new report. If your home sale profit exceeds the limit, you can reduce it by adding to the base's original purchase price with capital improvements. So let's go through that, because you might be like, what are you talking about? So for example, let's just use round numbers. You bought a home for $500,000. Okay, cool. You put in $250,000. So your basis is $750,000. That is where anything over that, you make money. Let's say you're single and you sell your home for $1.2 million, right? That's your net. So obviously 750 to $1 million, you're at 250, you're at 450,000. So anything over 250, you're going to have to start paying. So that's how the gap is, right? So if you bought it for 500, you're not going to have to pay on, oh my gosh. So if you bought your home for 500, you put 250 in. That is your basis now, and then you get your 250 on top of that, so that brings you to $1 million. So if you sold it for 1.2, you have the $200,000. You will be paying the capital gains on, depending on where you live. There could be state, obviously there's federal. So that is a way to bring it down. So if you're asking, hey, how do I know I can qualify for this exemption, right? The $250,000, $500,000. What is the rules? I forgot. I can't remember. Maybe you're going to Google it. You don't understand. So let's go through the rules. To qualify for the exemption, homeowners must pass the homeownership test. Own the home for at least 2 years out of the last 5 years. In the resident test, the home must be primary for any 24 months during those 5 years. Reducing taxable profits. Homeowners can reduce their taxable profits by adding the cost of improvements, not repairs, to the original home. So remember, I redid my bathrooms, my kitchens, the landscaping, added a pool, added a second story, all that stuff. Not, hey, I repaired a light fixture, repair this. So any major improvements, you can reduce all that. Obviously, you give all this information to your CPA, they would be able to break it down. So let me go back to what we talked about, because a lot of people have confusion. And you needed to own a home at least 2 years out of the last 5 years. So what does that mean? Let's say you bought a home 5 years ago and you lived in it for 2 years and then you rented it out for 2 years and you go to sell. Are you still exempt? What's your answer? Your answer should be yes, because you've lived there out of 5 years. You just have to claim it as your primary residence 2 of 5 and then you're exempt. All right, folks, that is it for this week. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the time. If you want to get a hold of me, call me, text me, email me. You got my digits. It's below in the description too as well. But anyways, hey guys, also, if you do like this video, send it to somebody else because there's a lot of valuable information. Comment, like, subscribe to my channel. Any help you can give me would be great. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. What are the ways and tricks, hacks, tips to reduce it? So in this CNBC article, a lot of CNBC articles, they went through, let's go to some key points and let's go how to maybe bring that number down. So, right, if you're going to be over 500,000 or 250. So married couples, as we know, can shield up to $500,000 in home profits from capital gains, and single filers can exempt from 250,000. In 2023, nearly 8% of U.S. home sales yielded profits exceeding $500,000 compared to 3% in 2019. Isn't that amazing? 8% of all U.S. home sales. That's a lot, according to your report. If your home sale profit exceeds the limit, you can reduce it by adding to the base's original purchase price with capital improvements. So let's go through that because you might be like, what are you talking about? So for example, let's just use round numbers. You bought a home for $500,000. Okay, cool. You put in $250,000. So your basis is $750,000. That is where anything over that, you make money. Let's say you're single and you sell your home for $1.2 million, right? That's your net. So obviously 750 to a million, you're at 250, you're at 450,000. So anything over 250, you're going to have to start paying. So that's how the gap is, right? So if you bought it for 500, you're not going to have to pay on, oh my gosh. So if you bought your home for 500, you put 250 in. That is your basis now, and then you get your 250 on top of that, so that brings you to a million. So if you sold it for 1.2, you have the $200,000. You will be paying the capital gains on, depending on where you live. There could be state, obviously there's federal. So that is a way to bring it down. So if you're asking, hey, how do I know I can qualify for this exemption, right? The $250,000, $500,000. What is the rules? I forgot. I can't remember. Maybe you're going to Google it. You don't understand. So let's go through the rules. To qualify for the exemption, homeowners must pass the homeownership test. Own the home for at least 2 years out of the last 5 years. In the resident test, the home must be primary for any 24 months during those 5 years. Reducing taxable profits. Homeowners can reduce their taxable profits by adding the cost of improvements, not repairs, to the original home. So remember, I redid my bathrooms, my kitchens, the landscaping, added a pool, added a second story, all that stuff. Not, hey, I repaired a light fixture, repair this. So any major improvements, you can reduce all that. Obviously, you give all this information to your CPA, they would be able to break it down. So let me go back to what we talked about because a lot of people have confusion. And you needed to own a home at least 2 years out of the last 5 years. So what does that mean? Let's say you bought a home 5 years ago and you lived in it for 2 years and then you rented it out for 2 years and you go to sell. Are you still exempt? What's your answer? Your answer should be yes, because you've lived there out of 5 years. You just have to claim it as your primary residence 2 of 5 and then you're exempt. All right, folks, that is it for this week. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the time. If you want to get a hold of me, call me, text me, email me. You got my digits. It's below in the description too as well. But anyways, hey guys, also, if you do like this video, send it to somebody else because there's a lot of valuable information. Comment, like, subscribe to my channel. Any help you can give me would be great. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon.